I'm gonna take it back real quick, with just a random thought about music. You did. So as you see the picture right here, you got the 80s, you got the 90s, 2000s, and the 2010s. What is your favorite era of music? Now I know some of y'all wasn't born in the 80s, so I doubt y'all would choose that. Some of y'all wasn't born in the 90s, so you probably wouldn't choose that. Many of y'all was born in the 2000s. So that would probably be your era. Not saying you couldn't go back and enjoy certain, you know, eras, but at the same time, a lot of people don't like to give credit to what's out now. They rather go back and revert to when music was this, but time has changed. Now, me being me, I was born in the 80s, a kid in the 90s, and was a teenager in the 2000s. So I'm going to have to go and say at least the late 90s from like 97 to 99 to the 2000s because that's when I was like, 11, 12, and 2000 I was, a kid in high school listening to a lot of music. Now, the names that they got listed is kind of important as well. If you look at the 1990s, they on point. Big L, Tupac, Biggie, Nas, Nate Dogg, Snoop Dogg, but it was a lot more. In the 2000s, okay, if you're talking about in the beginning, let's keep it a buck. The game wasn't even around yet. Exhibit wasn't as irrelevant. Some people, looked at him as the guy from Pimp My Ride. Lil Jon kind of was not there yet, as far as the snap music era yet. Eminem, he was he was cool. He was thriving. You know what I mean? 50 Cent, haven't heard of him yet. Mixtape circuit. And Little Chris, I think he just came in the game. So that's that era. But me, yeah, 2000s, because there's a lot of people that I was in high school listening to, you know, Cash Money No Limit. You still had Rough Riders. Ja Rule was big at that point. Um, it's a lot of people I just can't think right now. But then you get to the 2010 era. Well, I won't say that's my era because obviously it's not. You dig? In my 20s at that point. I mean, but you look at Wiz, Tiger, Kanye, Lil Wayne, ASAP, and Joey Badass. I mean, I guess you can pit those rappers in the forefront, but it was a lot of other rappers out at that time that was thriving. You feel me? So probably my era that I appreciate the most is the 90s, um, and the 2000s. As far as the 80s, it don't have to be rap. I'm gonna switch it to like, Michael Jackson was big in the 80s. I don't care what you say. Madonna was big in the 80s. You had still Run DMC, of course, NWA and shit like that. But in other genres, it just seemed like music in the 80s was just beautiful. It was wonderful. Everybody was doing what they was doing. But let's keep it real. The king of music was Michael Jackson. And I don't give a fuck what genre it was. He been running shit since he was at least 5 years old. You feel me? So I'll leave that to that. The 90s, I'm going to have to give it to Pac. Pac kind of, was that one Malcolm X, you know what I mean, of the 90s. He ran the 90s. I don't give a shit what you say, who you said, Big or Nas. Nah, it was Pac, man. He stayed in the news. He stayed on magazines. His music was powerful as hell, man. Straight up. The 2000s, I don't know who really ran the 2000 Tage. It depends on what you go for. Because 0350 came out. He, went diamond. If you say Eminem, I'm going to say Eminem because the simple fact when Marshall Mathers LP came out, and I will never stop saying this, it made niggas in my area respect him for his lyrics because of the crazy shit he was saying. Not to say that everybody didn't understand what he was saying, everybody did, but back then we wasn't listening to music for crazy metaphors and bars and shit like that. You just hear some crazy shit and some crazy shit and you're like, holy shit, this nigga said he'd do this and do that. So that's really real. I mean, really where, the respect for Eminem comes from. Because I've never seen so many niggas go out and purchase that album. A lot of people didn't give a fuck about Slim Shady LP. Not being racist, that was a white shit. Like, we was not, that shit he was talking about was insane. But when he got to the Marshall Mathers LP, that shit was crazy. Ludacris came in the game. You know what I mean? Ja Rule was still pretty dope at that point. I think he was on Rule 336. Crazy. It just was a lot of people back then. It just wasn't rap. It was just all type of shit. You had your like R&B acts, you had your pop acts. It was just dope. But if you just talk about hip hop, a lot of these people really wasn't as relevant in the first couple of years. But once it hit about 2002, 2003, yeah, shit started to change. Game came out 05, Kanye and them. So it just depends. And in 2010s, I mean, shit, music kind of got different. In my personal opinion, it changed a lot. I mean, even if you look at the pictures of how they dress, so you can look at it as the music or the fashion era as well. I mean, who would ever thought baggy clothes would be extinct, and now people wear skinny jeans. And the picture with the skinny jeans with the shoes, that's kind of accurate. Some shoes are built like fucking boots, and skinny jeans make you look crazy, but to me, they mixed the fashion of the 2010s with the 80s and the 90s. They brought a lot of that shit back. You know what I mean? But that's just on fashion and everything like that. But as far as the music is just, I don't know what it is now. You can get on the track and just mumble and don't say shit, and it's dope. You know what I mean? Even, shout out to Hobson when he made that song, No Words. I looked at the video. He right, though. You know what I mean? It's just basically a beat. If you just take the instrumental and listen to it, or you just take the acapella, what are they saying? So I mean, I don't know, but I definitely want to see where music gonna go in the next 20 years. Will rap even still be relevant in a sense? Because I remember when Hov said it, if rap keep going away, it's gonna be like how disco was, and disco is no more. You know what I mean? Rock and roll basically is not the same no more. It's like they smashed together everything in one, and now it's hip hop. I wouldn't even call it hip hop. It's like pop rap. You know what I mean? We love a melody at 808, but it's still substance. We still have artists that give us substance, but that shit is not thriving to the point where people want to pay to hear that type of shit. That's why you have certain artists that we feel like should be selling, records, but they're not. And don't hit me with the J. Cole, Kendrick. I ain't talking about them. There's a lot of other artists that's lyrically inclined, that's dope as fuck, that should be in the forefront of music. But I still feel like that's the part of hip hop that's missing, the lyrical aspect of it. I think that's gonna come back around. A couple more years, it's gonna be about the lyrics, because all that partying, dumb shit, you know what I mean? I think it's gonna be out of here once niggas wake up out they fucking lean coma they was in, or they zanned out Percocet mode. They realize, like, man, what the fuck was we on? You know what I mean? It's just a phase. Everything in hip hop always has a phase. You had that dancing music phase, that ringtone phase, and now we're in a phase of, I guess, prescription medicine being a theme behind every artist and their music. You know what I mean? But once that phase is over with, then it's like we're going to get back to the real rap that everybody been, wanting to hear. That party shit cool sometime. I'm for it. I fuck with it. But at the same time, I do wish the game was flooded with more actual shit that'll make you think and use your brain to figure out, what did he just say? Like, that metaphor was crazy. Like, run that back. You know what I mean? I miss the days of that era in music. Like, when I first heard Nas on Illmatic, and it was written, and when Stillmatic came out, I was the first nigga in line buying the album, because I knew he was gonna say some shit to where it's like, yo, let me hit that rewind real quick and hear what he said. You know what I mean? And make me go grab a fucking encyclopedia. Yes, encyclopedia's old school, fuck Google, and look up what he just said. What continent is that? You know what I mean? What country he just say? What's that jewelry he was talking about? What's that pyramid? Shit like that. But I mean, people will look at music based upon what you like and perceive they know you, and you don't know the person just because they like this type of music. You know what I mean? Even with this whole YouTube shit, I just think it's weird. Y'all judge people, don't say shit like people really care about it. People do it just because they like to do it, and they get a joy out of it. I mean, it's not supposed to be a job. It's supposed to be just something to where you can express yourself and have an open discussion. But even with hip hop, you see that can't happen, because you say that you like this rapper, he's whack, he's garbage. It turns to an argument, and that ain't really what it's for. So, I mean, y'all let me know what y'all think. I just want to break down a little, conversation, a little dialogue piece. You dig? But it is what it is. Sidebar real quick. I don't know what to say about the interview with Ross, but that shit was crazy, you dig? You know what I'm saying? Most definitely it was, wow. I don't know what to say to that. How the fuck he said Meek didn't get body. So we all heard it for our own ears. That means Dream Chaser 4 better be the most dopest shit we ever fucking heard in our life, because as a CEO, you is not supposed to get on air and say some crazy shit like that because that's your artist and you still didn't answer none of the questions. That shit was crazy. But other than that, y'all let me know what y'all think about that. But Ross' new song is dope. Shout out to Chris Brown. He bared his soul on that joint. I may even talk about that next. I don't know. But I'll holla at y'all. Y'all be easy. Stay supporting the channel. And remember, them other channels ain't me.